10 cheat codes, the top 10 cheat codes to creating a quantum leap for your business. And with that said, just as a quick review, last Friday, I shared the first strategy, which was number 10 on the top 10 list, and that was values-based organizations. If you haven't watched that video, I'm not going to spoil it. Make sure you get a chance to check that out. But basically talks about how important values-driven organizations, or how important values are to organizations to propel them forward. So with that said, number 9, be careful who you listen to, or more succinctly put, don't listen to and don't do business with idiots. And so that got quite a chuckle out of the room last Thursday of the professionals that this presentation was delivered to. And I want to go into a little bit of detail. This is not meant to be an indictment, but by the same token, there's a ton of information out there. There's a ton of noise out there, and it's becoming increasingly difficult for people to determine what they need and who they need to provide that service, that product, that platform, whatever. So how do you do that? Well, I would like to share some strategies, but first I want to tell you some stories about how this one came about. So a friend of mine who I hold in high esteem, a really strong professional, does some really good servant leadership work in the world. And with that said, I won't share any more than that, but just a really good person. Recently contracted some services and paid. This person paid, and it wasn't just right into 5 figures. It was decently into 5 figures that this person paid for some services. Those services, the deliverables, as this individual relates to me, were not met on any circumstances. And so what was promised was not delivered. 5 figures of money out the door. The person, rather than making it right, said, good luck, sorry, that sort of stuff. With that said, I know there's 3 sides to every story. There's the one side's truth, the other side's truth, and then the actual truth lies somewhere in the middle. But with that said, I will say this. This person, considering the fact that they work so hard to serve the world, I would tend to think that they are probably being pretty genuine in how this all played out. And with that said, this is not the first time that I've heard this type of story. And I'm not even going to pick on the industry or anything like that, because there's good people in that industry that don't need negativity thrown on their industry. But I will say that 2 other examples. I have my martial arts shirt on today. You can see the kanji there. And with that in mind, I was talking to our martial arts instructor, and I relayed the story to him, and he said, "Oh my gosh, that's normal." He's like, "I know of at least 2 other instructors," and I want to be real clear and stop for a second. Our martial arts instructor is not the person who got taken for the money. He was asking me my thoughts on similar services, and I said I wouldn't do it because I don't think you need it. And he said, "Well, that's exactly what I was thinking too," because he said that he knows of 2 other instructors who were taken for right around 10 to 12 grand, which is much lower than what the other person paid that I started mentioning. So with that said, how do you determine who is going to be the right fit, who is going to deliver on their services? Well, there's no guarantees, but there are some simple ways to look at this. And I will share with you what I think is probably a pretty sound strategy. Now, with that in mind, this strategy can be throttled up or throttled down depending on the relative perceived value of the services that you need. Now, what do I mean by relative perceived value? Well, if you are hiring your first virtual assistant, then that may be a huge hire for your company, and $500 a month or $1,600 a month or whatever you're paying for a virtual assistant, depending on what type of services you need, could be a lot of money to you and your small business. Or you could be at the opposite end of the spectrum. You have 15 virtual assistants working for you, and this is just another one to help you with the workload, and another $500 is not a deal breaker. So with that said, that's relative perceived value. $500 to one person is a lot of money. $500 to another person is nothing. It's just a rounding error. And so with that in mind, I want you to keep that in mind as you're making your decisions. But here's kind of bringing it all together. Let's say that you need to hire some services, and the money that you're spending on it is rightfully important because it's a large sum of money to you. How do you go about finding the right person? Well, one is obviously survey the market, see who has what available, read reviews. Now, here's the thing. I want you to be real careful about reading reviews, because people are paying for reviews in a lot of instances. When you go on Amazon, there are a lot of fake reviews, for instance. There are other platforms where there's fake reviews, both good and bad. Here's the thing. There are even people that go on and are paid to leave fake bad reviews for a product on certain platforms just to try to damage the credibility of the person that's providing the good or service. So you kind of have to take reviews with a grain of salt, but you can generally read into the reviews and get an idea of who's actually writing a legitimate review and who's not. But you also have to keep in mind, with AI in place now, reviews are going to get more and more confusing as to whether they are true reviews or whether they were generated to fulfill a certain agenda. So I think reading reviews, surveying the landscape, asking for recommendations from other professionals that you know that may have used similar services. That's a good place to start, but that's not the end to the discussion, okay? So we're just kind of moving along the spectrum towards finding the right provider of services or products for you. So you've surveyed the market, you looked at reviews, you've seen if this individual or company can provide roughly what it is that you're looking for, ask for professionals if they know anybody at the company or if they can make recommendations based on the company or whatever. Once you have a small group that's been curated for what you're looking for, then take it a step further. You're going to sit down with, whether you just have one person that you're considering or whether you have three groups that you're considering or three companies you're considering. You're going to sit down with them and you're going to start asking some very specific questions. It's a line of questioning to determine if you're making, hopefully, a good productive decision as it relates to your needs and also honoring your relative perceived value of the money that you're looking to spend on the project. So what does that look like? Well, let's say that you're sitting down with someone that's a solopreneur and they provide some sort of consulting service. Okay, well, I provide business advisory. It's similar to consulting, but not the same. So if you were sitting down with me, I would ask you to ask these questions. I would ask you just to, if I was in your shoes, say, ask for 3 examples of happy clients that had a similar situation to what the potential client is asking for. So if someone's sitting across the table from me and they're like, hey, I've got this project, I need help with it, I'm in this space, you know that. What are 3 clients that you've helped previously with similar needs that you can kind of identify how you helped them, so I can get a better idea of how we might work together? So I take the time, I go through each client, try to be as detailed as possible because I want to earn this business. So you can tell a lot about someone who's providing a service or a product to you by how detailed and how heart of a teacher they have as it relates to the conversation they're having with you to potentially earn your business or win your trust and approval for that business. And so if they're kind of glossing over things, then that's a red flag right there. If they're in a hurry, another red flag. If they are not filling in pieces of the story, another red flag. Opposite side of the spectrum, though, let's say that they're giving you a really in-depth story and they've given you 1 and then they give you 2 and then they give you 3 and they've given you 3 examples just as you've asked. Well, your work is not done yet. What is the next step? Well, here's the next step. What you're going to do is you're going to ask them to take those 3 examples and then you're going to ask them if they understand your problem, okay? The problem that you're asking them for potentially providing help on. And if they say yes, then go ahead and follow the next strategy. If they say no, ask them what questions that you can answer so that they completely understand your problem before you ask what's coming next, okay? So once the understanding is that they totally understand what you're asking them to do, then you're going to ask them and say, take the 3 examples that you just provided me based on happy clients, similar to what you understand that we need help with. And then I want you to create a blue sky opportunity and outline how you would help us based on what you did with those clients, and add in any other strategies that you might have from other experiences. Has to be limited to those 3 clients, but if you can push those into the conversation, then that certainly helps too. So with that said, that's the basics, okay? But what you should get in return is you got these 3 examples. Now you should be getting some sort of actionable stepwise progression of how they can help serve your needs, whether that be a service, a project, a product, a platform, doesn't matter, okay? They should be able to very clearly and succinctly say, oh, I would take this piece from this client. We did this with them. I would take these 2 pieces from client number 2, and I would put that with that first strategy from client number 1. And then I would take 4 pieces from client 3 and put those with the 2 from client 2 and the 1 from client 1. So in total, we would have 1 plus 2 plus 4 is 7. We'd have these 7 pieces. We put them together in this order, and that's how we would structure as we walk through trying to serve your needs, okay? Now that seems like, wow, man, that's pretty in depth, okay? But here's the thing, that's a great way to avoid being displeased because of the fact that they told you, oh, here's 3 clients that we've helped, and you go through the normal steps and stuff like that, and then they do work for you, and then you're like, oh, that's not exactly what I wanted at all. It's nothing like what I wanted, okay? So the key is to really take it to the next step and have them outline how they would help you. And if they start clamming up or they start saying, oh gosh, that's proprietary information and stuff like that. If people start reacting like that to you when you're asking them for their expertise and how they would help serve you, that's another red flag. And here's why. Knowledge and information are everywhere nowadays. Okay. So it's not hard to find these things. I mean, it used to be that knowledge was in short supply and it was in books and you had to go to the library, you had to own the book or whatever. And, printing presses, I mean, you go way back, it was even harder to get knowledge. Okay. But nowadays, knowledge is at your fingertips. Information is at your fingertips. So if someone's unwilling to provide you with basic broad strokes of how they would take past wins and leverage them to help you with your situation, that's not solving your problem. It's just giving you a framework of how they might potentially solve your problem. And if they can't outline it in 3 to 7 steps, then that's a red flag that either they're short on knowledge and it's that they've had a few successes, but they may not be up to the challenge of helping you, or they might be a little bit too guarded to work with, because you're not asking for them to work for free. You're asking for it in a conversational form with some broad strokes. Okay. Now, here's the thing. Anybody who's in it for the long game, AKA they just enjoy helping people, they know their business will grow because they do enjoy helping people, those people are not concerned if they give you 7 steps to help you solve your problem, and then you turn around and run away and solve your problem. Like, if that happens, oh well, there's going to be other clients that are going to definitely need those services. So they're not, oh my gosh, like if the person takes my 7 steps and solves their problem. That's usually not the case. It's almost never the case. They're coming to you with a problem because they can't solve it on their own, and they either don't have the resources or they don't have the money to do it themselves. And so the result is that you're not going to have them run off hardly ever and solve their problem with what you provided them. And if you did, well, that's a tough break in business. Okay. It may happen, it may not. Some people it never happens to, some people it happens to once, 2, 3 times. Okay, whatever, but nothing's perfect. But what I will say is this is a great strategy stepwise to vet potential vendors of services, to understand if they're going to be a fit for you, that they understand what you need and that they can take past experience and apply it to leverage to help you with whatever it is that you need fulfilled. They do not have to be an expert in your industry. I want to be real clear about that. A lot of the biggest innovations come from outside of an industry, and we'll talk about that in another one of the cheat codes, but I don't want to spoil that, but we'll get to that. But what I am saying is that they should have a passing understanding to the point where they can provide you with a meaningful solution, and they can customize past experiences that they've had with other clients, even if they're in other industries, and be able to customize those to meaningfully help you and make it so that it's plain so that you can understand it. If they could do that, then they're probably, and if they have the patience to do that and explain it to you with the heart of a teacher, there's a strong chance that they're going to try very, very hard to not only continue to earn your business, earn your respect, earn your trust, and earn their thank you notes in the form of dollar bills for a job well done. So that's the first side of the coin, like if you're hiring vendors and stuff like that. Opposite side of the coin is, and I said, don't listen to idiots, or be careful who you listen to. If you have an online presence, this goes out to you, especially if you are nervous about recording videos or whatever. Like, here's the thing, nobody's perfect. People say people say like, and we're all human. And the hardest thing to do is just get in front of the camera and practice it. But I'm gonna tell you a funny story. So I don't know, 4 or 5 weeks ago, I put out a video, and it was like 5 words that you really shouldn't be using. And a lot of folks were very complimentary on the video. And I'll give you a few of the words. You can go look up the video. It's from several weeks back, probably in early February of 2024, if you're watching this now. But it was like 5 videos that are predominantly, or 5 words, and they're predominantly related to sales and marketing. And so I talked about why pitching and spiel and drip and funnel, and I cannot remember what the 5th word is off the top of my head, but there are words, and they're not very flattering, and using them is not helping anybody. It's not helping the sales profession, the marketing profession. It's not helping the people they serve, because those words have negative connotations, and words have meaning. And we are only beginning to scratch the surface of that as our professions continue to move forward and do even better each day. But with that said, so I recorded this video. A lot of people were very complimentary, lots of good feedback and stuff like that. And I was really appreciative of that. And like, you know, your friends, they give you feedback, and like, they're your friends. So they always say nice things, and always appreciate, like, thank you for everybody who did say nice things. With that said, video is meant with good intent and stuff like that. And so I don't check LinkedIn very often, like once every few days, as far as like comments and stuff like that. And I swear there's like a little gremlin that lives inside of LinkedIn, and like, I don't know if he hides comments from time to time or whatever, or what he does, but I totally missed that this person had commented. So this person comments and they write like something like, blah, 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 get to the point, whatever, move on, or something like that. And I was like, holy smokes. Now, here's the thing. I want to be real clear about this, because if you're just starting to put yourself out online, whether you're going to be on podcasts, whether you're going to be on video, whether you're putting up posts, it doesn't matter. Here's the thing. It takes a lot of courage to do it. All right. First and foremost, give yourself a high five, you know, well, bam, for having the courage to do it. Second thing is that you're going to make mistakes. Third thing is if you're going to put yourself out there, there are going to be people that are going to say negative things to you. Now, here's where I talked about, like, you have to vet vendors. You also have to vet feedback if you're going to be out in the professional spheres. And here's how you do it. If the person private messages you and says, hey, I liked the content of your video, but I didn't care for the fact that the sun was at your back and there was a shadow over your face like it is today, then that might be good feedback. Like, next time I'll turn the camera around and, you know, face towards the sun, put some sunglasses on or something like that. That's pretty decent feedback. Okay. If someone says in a private message, you know, hey, the audio quality of your video was really poor. I love the message, but the audio quality was so poor, I had trouble understanding you. Another good, well-meaning. Okay. I will tell you that if someone has no picture, or they only have 5 followers, or they have 5 friends, or, you know, whatever, and they go off on a tangent and they just start ripping you apart in a public forum, it's probably not the person that has your best interest in mind and is trying to help you grow. Okay. Now, on the bigger side of things, I will say that this person probably made a point from the fact that sometimes I do use some extra words, and that's kind of normal in front of the camera. Even, you know, if you have a lot of camera experience, you may add in a few more words than are necessary to get the point across. But here's the thing. The message and the way that it was delivered completely missed the mark if that person was trying to help. And what you have to do when you're putting content out there, it doesn't matter the platform, it doesn't matter the medium. Okay. What you need to realize is you're going to have, you know, haters out there. Trolly McTrollerson is going to, even on your very best video, they're going to say something nasty. And you have to remember a few things. One, what is their intention based on where are they putting the message and how are they framing it? Okay. If they're sending you a private message and by all accounts, it looks like they're a professional and they said, hey, I like this part, but I think this part could be improved. That's someone who has your best interest in mind. Okay. If you have someone who is, you know, tearing into you in a public forum and has just a few followers and really does not have any other framing around it other than just ripping you apart, then that's someone who maybe is having a bad day. We don't know what they're going through. We don't know if they're just angry. We don't know if they just are being paid to troll someone else just for the fact that they're making some extra money being a troll. Okay. So you kind of have to look at it that way. And I want to just share that with you all today because of the fact that if you're going to have the courage to put video out or put a podcast out or put whatever out, you're going to have some trolls. And knowing how to weigh the feedback is critical. And I would just leave you with that thought today. So like I said, be careful who you listen to. Don't do business. Don't listen to idiots, because unfortunately there are some folks out there that definitely fall into that category. This is not meant to be an indictment as much as it is to separate how to find the golden or the diamonds in the rough, so to speak, as you're looking for vendors, and also how to get meaningful feedback if you are creating a professional presence. So thanks for tuning in today. Hope you have a great week. Enjoy the weather. It's beautiful here in South Dakota. Hopefully the same is true for you wherever you are. Take care.